Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder turned global philanthropist, has unleashed one of the most explosive accusations ever aimed at another billionaire, targeting none other than Elon Musk. The world's richest man and the entrepreneur behind Tesla, SpaceX, X, formerly Twitter, and a host of other ventures, and in doing so Gates has stirred a debate that mixes morality, politics, technology, and the fragile survival of millions of the world's poorest children. According to Gates, Musk is indirectly killing poor children because of his public lobbying and behind-the-scenes influence in Washington, which, Gates argues, helped convince policymakers to drastically cut back foreign aid budgets that once supported life-saving health initiatives across Africa, Asia, and parts of Latin America. And while Musk has denied the claims outright and lashed back with insults, Gates insists that the stakes are too high for silence. For what is at risk is not pride or corporate rivalry but the lives of real children who are losing vaccines, nutrition programs, and access to basic medicines because aid pipelines have been reduced to a trickle. Aid, which Gates notes is often the thin line between life and death in places like rural Mozambique where HIV-positive mothers once had reliable access to antiretroviral drugs. In the remote villages of Nigeria where polio eradication teams depended on US-funded logistics to reach every last child. In the dusty clinics of Bangladesh where simple interventions against diarrhea and pneumonia turned bleak odds into survival stories. And in the fragile refugee camps across the Horn of Africa where malnourished toddlers relied on food supplements provided by agencies funded through American foreign aid. Yet now, after these budgets were slashed, those children face the silent violence of hunger, disease, and neglect, a violence Gates describes as preventable and unforgivable. The clash between Gates and Musk, however, is not just about aid numbers, it is symbolic of two radically different worldviews, one where Gates, through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has devoted over 2 decades to global health, pouring tens of billions of dollars into vaccines, sanitation, and education, and another where Musk champions a future driven by space colonization, artificial intelligence, and futuristic technologies that may excite investors but, according to critics, ignore the immediate human suffering of today. And Gates has escalated the debate by announcing his own pledge to accelerate his philanthropy, promising to give away nearly his entire fortune before 2045 and to shut down the Gates Foundation by that year's end. An act he says is meant to ensure that the money is used now when the world desperately needs it rather than hoarded in perpetuity. In a fiery statement, Gates declared, "The image of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one," and his words sent shockwaves through the philanthropic and tech communities, igniting headlines, provoking think pieces, and drawing condemnation from Musk loyalists who see the claim as slander, while simultaneously rallying support from health experts, aid workers, and economists who argue that Gates is not exaggerating the devastating impact of foreign aid cuts. And this controversy has unfolded like a morality play in the age of billionaires. A narrative about what responsibility comes with unimaginable wealth, for when Musk tweets about building a colony on Mars or investing in humanoid robots, critics now reply with images of emaciated children and failing clinics, asking why billions are directed at the dream of life beyond Earth while life on Earth itself is neglected. And yet Musk, never one to back down, fired back on social media calling Gates a huge liar and accusing him of being jealous, dismissing the foreign aid debate as a cover for inefficient bureaucracies that waste money, and suggesting that private innovation, not government handouts, is the true path to global improvement. Musk argued that technology such as Starlink satellite internet, Tesla solar grids, and autonomous transport will transform the developing world far more sustainably than aid checks ever did. But Gates countered that while long-term innovation is important, children dying of malaria today cannot wait for a hypothetical solar-powered hospital in 2045. They need mosquito nets, antibiotics, and clean water right now. He accused Musk of cynically undermining aid programs not because he believes in innovation but because he resents government intervention and wants every dollar to flow into private ventures that glorify him, not into multilateral agencies that save lives quietly without fanfare. And so the world has been forced to witness this extraordinary feud, one that is both personal and philosophical, with news anchors debating whether Gates's framing of Musk as a child killer is a fair rhetorical weapon or an unjust smear, with NGOs issuing reports showing the rising child mortality rates in regions hit hardest by aid reductions, and with think tanks calculating the trillions of dollars lost in human potential when poor children are deprived of health and education. And while the back and forth continues, Gates has kept emphasizing his core message, that he will not die the richest man on earth but intends to die having given away almost all his wealth, and that he hopes this gesture shames not only Musk but every other billionaire hoarding fortunes while the planet bleeds, a message that resonates especially in a time of global inequality, climate shocks, pandemics, and economic crises. For many ordinary people see in Gates's words a rare moment of accountability, even if they remain skeptical about billionaires policing billionaires. And thus the story of Gates versus Musk is not merely about two men, but about two visions of the future colliding, one vision rooted in immediate humanitarianism, the other in ambitious technological futurism. And perhaps the truth is that the world needs both. Yet in the short term, Gates warns, without food, vaccines, and education, millions of children may never live long enough to see the technological utopias Musk dreams of. And as the debate grows more heated, one thing becomes clear. This conflict is shaping not just headlines but the moral imagination of a generation, asking whether wealth on the scale of Gates and Musk is a gift to humanity or a curse that places life and death in the hands of men too powerful to be held accountable. And in that single unresolved tension lies the fate of countless children whose silent cries echo beneath the noise of billionaire wars.